for the nation, so that all these funds and pension funds and all that will not be encumbered, and that the citizenry will be free. So if we have a dialogue and we know how we got here, it is the how we got here that they don't want to talk about. And the why we got here.
Right.
So if we have a dialogue, a national dialogue aimed at ensuring that we salvage this economy, which is ours, it's not for anybody else.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Johnny's Bite is up next. You want to stay with us on 3FM 92.7.
Funds to you certainly feel it. I think it pretty
watch Johnny's Bite.
You know, I've watched you. Sometimes our people disagree with you, but I mean, I understand some of your approach. I mean, sometimes we take a hard bite. It helps us as politicians.
Nowadays, when I listen to you, I even panic.
Why do you panic?
The way you, Papa, you know Papa.
Figuratively, he bites as hard as he can. Okay. And of course, when he puts his fangs into you, you certainly feel it. I think it pretty
watch Johnny's Bite.
Bismillahir Rahman Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Hasbanallahu wa ni'mal wakil. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with thee. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. Well, the police have a new place to lay their head. Congratulations to the government for that. It will go a long way to ease the burdens. These are some of the things that we've been talking about. So congrats to government for doing that. Now, this morning, I want to remind you of our outside broadcast that will happen tomorrow at Jamestown, the Tourist Information Center, specifically in the Greater Accra region on the coastline, on Gamashemi, on Jamestown, Oshatown, on Bajeme. And tomorrow, sunrise in your community, right from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. We will be there, Member of Parliament, MC, Assemblymen, everybody will be there. Right? So you come, join us, and let's have a conversation. Tomorrow, there will be free health screening. What about free health screening? Tourist Information Center. No, find on your back. Only wakwa, but no about feeling. What tashini? What you were denture was sajin. But this morning, I want to throw back a bit because Thursdays are for throwbacks. I want to go to my home region, Cape Coast. And you know that Cape Coast plays a very significant and historic role in the journey towards independence and even after independence. Remember the Bond of 1844 and many others? Yes. So Cape Coast is very central to the history of Ghana. It has some of the best schools you can talk about, from Wesley Girls to Adisada College to St. Augustine's to Infantipim to Infantsman, name it. But in 2020, August of 2020, a promise was made to the people of Cape Coast. Let's remind ourselves. Let's play the video of Dr. Baumia in Cape Coast, talking about Cape Coast in August 2020.
I have good news for you. We are building a new harbor in Cape Coast and a new airport in Cape Coast. It is very critical that we do that. An airport makes a lot of sense in Cape Coast. It's a real tourist hub, and between Greater Accra, Kumasi, and Cape Coast, you have a triangle that really is a lot of hub of economic activity. You can build railway lines between them, and it's a major growth pole if we put an airport here to drive infrastructure growth. Of course, we are going to continue to...
So this was Dr. Baumia in August 2020. The good news to the people of Cape Coast, we're promised an harbor and an airport, and we're told that it makes sense. There's a certain triangle, not a square, not a rectangle, not an octagon, not a hexagon, not a whatever it is. This is a triangle. Now, fast forward in 2021, when the people of Cape Coast had waited and waited and waited and waited and didn't get the airport and the harbor, they decided to ask where the harbor and the airport was. Listen to the rap that we put together on TV3 in August, in 2021, October 2021.
First of all, there's a clarification. The commitment was never to a harbor. It was to a landing site.
Okay.
It's very, very important. And you look inside the MPP, page 88 of the MPP manifesto for the 2020 election, it was clear. And there are several landing sites that we have in the central region that are ongoing. So as far as the harbor, we have to be very clear in our mind. We never committed ourselves. I never said I was going to build a harbor in Cape Coast. I said I was going to build a landing site, like what I've done in these 6 other places in the central region.
Last year, one manifesto time, you about 8 years. About Bashaya, what the harbor, what the harbor and the menu. So I have done it very, very good. Hey, I don't I want more. What's up, where be Sunday? Nah, I can have one. This how much I say. Mr. Bobiala. Man, cash, man, I'm going to make where whom and the map I can be me. Rise a son cashy. I the man, not Chinese, on my opinion, or you got 4 years. I had to be in Yaha.
Yesterday, hearing the president say that because the vice president was very clear to us in August 2020 when he mentioned that the people of Cape Coast, has some good news for us. There is going to be a new airport and then a new harbor, which were very clear in the manifesto as well. If you look at the MVP manifesto for 2020, they've stated clearly the landing site that they want to build, and then there is a paragraph that talks about a new harbor and then a new airport for Cape Coast. So I think that the president would have to go back to the manifesto and then get back to us for us as citizens in Cape Coast, and we need those 2 things.
Now, when I happen, what then the laundry site is available. What are they? Because I'm an could be a good seat. You know, to the man who Ghana, I will master the car and minimal could keep us at kitchen. So I go for non when I'm meeting no one.
Dr. Baumia, good morning to you. Mr. President Akufo-Addo, good morning to you. You know, the people are expectant that at least you would tell them something at this time. And Dr. Baumia, you know that you hold a certain place of pride within the ongoing internal contest of who becomes the next flag bearer of the new patriotic party. Some say you are the forerunner. Now, when you go back to Cape Coast to campaign, what would you be telling the people? Because you told them that you had good news and that you were going to create a triangle, the tourism potential, the economic potential. So when you go there in 2024 to campaign, if you become flag bearer, what would you be telling them? And President Akufo-Addo, whoever becomes the next flag bearer, when you follow the person as the second father of the new patriotic party to be campaigning, what will you be telling the people? Well, let's hear the president with an Accra-based radio station, Mr. Kwame Sefa-Kaim. He said that he had never promised an harbor. Listen to him.
Johnny's Bite.
An airport or something.
Airport there. Asam Kakraba. Then they're saying Central Region Airport. Western region, but there will be a mixture of Central and Western region. Some strategic place for her. And say about this also, I'm also sort of now it's me a boy, Manaba. It's the end. Before I heard was Iguso. Minister,
Mr. President. Mr. President, good morning. The Central Region people were sitting at their own place, my people. They didn't ask for an airport. You said you were going to give them an airport. And then when they asked you where the airport was, you said that you had not promised them an airport. When the media fact-checked you and those who write for you and research for you, then you came back and admitted on Peace FM, Kwame Sefa-Kaim, that indeed you got it wrong. But then you put a caveat to it, that there has to be some rethinking and some whatever it is, we have to look into it again, Now that puts even a bigger loophole into this whole, because this was captured in the 2020 manifesto upon which he won the election. And that is the contract he had with the people. And these days I'll go into the manifestos. Because you know, if you have been around people writing manifestos, not inside, or just around there, you would have seen the quality and the caliber and the numbers of people flaunting their experience and whatever it is. A manifesto is not written by one person. So if the president said now we have to do some rethinking into a manifesto promise upon which an election was won, is the president suggesting to me that we have the men, leading men at the manifesto table? That's an indictment on all the people who wrote the manifesto which they said was superior to any other political party's manifesto in this country in 2020. You promised the people of Cape Coast and Harbour and an airport. We are in April. By 2020, you'll be out of 2024, you'll be out of office. We have not even started looking for the location for the airport. If you have, please tell us. You have not started looking for it. And you have told the people that Asem Kakra wo, but whatever it is, no be fane sa. Omo fane sa. You promised the people an harbour. You promised them an airport. You have not delivered on it. You have not apologized for it, like we will not go to IMF. We are a proud nation. You have not apologized to it. You have not accepted your part of the blame. But you say, oh, you better no, sir. Mr. President, I have always said to you that maybe you need to start looking at the people who write things for you to come and read to us. Because on that occasion when, was it Eagle FM, when you said that, oh, I have never promised, what you call it, an harbour, I had never promised an airport, and you were very emphatic about it. You were speaking from notes, perhaps written for you by somebody paid with that taxpayers' money. Then when you went to Mr. Sefakai's place to go and say that, oh, you got it wrong, but we have to start rethinking it, you were again speaking from notes. So who has been misinforming you, Mr. President? And how is that misinformation affecting our lives as Ghanaians? So presently, I am beside myself, and I'm asking a question, Mr. President. Have you just been promising us? Because the people of Cape Coast, if you go there now, and Dr. Baumia, Kennedy Ejepong, Alan Tremanting, Kwabena Ejepong, Engineer Kwabena Ejepong, all of you who want to be, if you ever win and you go to Cape Coast, they would ask you, if they ask you that question, and they bring your blue manifesto to you, and they say, where is the harbour? Where is the airport? What will your answer be? You see, the Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 5, that it is better not to promise than to promise and not fulfill. I know that most of you are Christians, and you campaign on the fact that the battle is the Lord's. If this one too has become a battle for the Lord, tell us. But you can't be silent on us, because if we get the airport, we like. If we get the harbour, we like. We like it like the people of Takoradi have their airport. We like it like the people of Accra have their airport. We like it like the people of Kumasi have their airport. We like it like the people of Wa have their airport. We like it like the people of Tamale have their airport. So if you can't do it, tell us. Manyama feye tomo le femo. Koma will tell you. Now, I want to throw back one last video where you said that you were not coming to power to dying. Because so far, it appears that you say one thing and you do the other. Ajana 1, Ajana 2. This morning, if you have forgotten, I'm bringing to your table that the airport which you promised has become a subject of conversation on the ground in Cape Coast. Alfred Thompson, good morning to you. It has become a subject of conversation in Cape Coast. And I believe and hope that their own people in the central region who will be working on the ground prior to the election, who will be working and campaigning for their party, they will have a tough time answering that simple question. Where is the harbour? Where is the airport? Play the last video when Anado says, I will not come to deceive you. I will not come to deceive. That's the last table. That's the last video and we're gone. I will not deceive you. Good morning.
Kunyakupo empengu membasa meba bedada kana foda. Misema mekaza meba beyano. Dasha sese ye. Meba be diso aye ni nyina pepe. Ameduma eni sika abo memu. Maka meka no biom da. Ye yafo wana. Ye yafo Jaisaya, Marika,
3FM Sunrise.
Jaisaya, Marika,
3FM Sunrise.
Marika, Jaisaya, Marika,
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7, 3FM.
Morning and welcome to Business News on Sunrise. My name is Minu Afo. Coming up this morning, Ghana's economy is actually growing and has grown by 3.1% in 2022, with the services industry as the leading sector in the fourth quarter. But an economist questions impact on Ghana's overall growth.
It's also a reflection of lack of attention to agriculture, agribusiness, and agro-processing.
Also, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center to introduce an investor grievance mechanism to enhance conflict resolution among the investing public.
They may have issues, but they would not like to come forward. So this will be an opportunity for them to let us know these things.
Plus, the Institute of Economic Affairs advocates for a constitutional provision that will check financial indiscipline in every regime.
Human beings, by our nature, if you leave us, to exercise discretionary power, we tend to abuse it.
We have the details coming up shortly. Staying with us in our first story this morning, economist Professor Godfred Bokpin has questioned the impacts of the services sector to Ghana's growth. This follows latest figures by the Ghana Statistical Service, which maintains services as the biggest contributor to Ghana's GDP. GDP grew by 3.1% in 2022, with the services industry contributing 45.3% to overall growth in the fourth quarter of last year.
The services sector was the largest contributor to Ghana's GDP in 2022 as a result of growth in the information and communication subsector, with a growth rate of 19.7%. Professional, administration and support services recorded the lowest rate with a contraction of 10.9%.
The economy continued to be driven by the services sector, which in the last quarter of 2022 contributed 45.3% to the GDP of the economy. We saw a marginal increase in the contribution of the industry sector, growing from 33.4% in 2021 to 36.0% in 2022. We saw a reduction in the contribution of agricultural sector, which grew by 22% in 2021 and slowed down to 18.7%, a dip of about 3.3 percentage points in 2022.
Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Godfred Bokpin, is worried Ghana is leapfrogging its development process to services.
That is problematic. For a country that needs to create jobs, decent jobs, that decent jobs will not come from the service sector, because the service sector is not really driven by quality service, largely retail, wholesale, and all of that. And it's also a reflection of lack of attention to agriculture, agribusiness, and agro-processing. And therefore, the bulk of the service, the retail wholesale, is based on import, 3.1%. What is the level of job creation accompanying that growth?
The country's economy grew from October through December last year. This is on the back of debt restructuring, inflation above 40%, high interest rates, high cost of doing business, and high cost of living. The mining sector grew 13.4%, pushing Ghana's GDP in the fourth quarter of 2022 to expand at 3.7%, while some analysts expected 2.6%.
That was a report by my colleague Eben Ejekumbuating. Also, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center is introducing an investor grievance mechanism to enhance conflict resolution among the investing public. The mechanism is part of efforts at improving ways in doing business. The investor grievance mechanism is expected to lead a continuous improvement in areas including land administration, taxation, local content development, and infrastructure. Edward Ashong Latte is a director at GIPC.
It's a system that we are going to set up to make sure that we get early warning signals. The investors can also, communicate this to us through an online portal. Some people, they don't want to be labeled as troublemakers, so they may have issues, but they would not like to come forward. So this will be an opportunity for them to let us know these things well ahead of time, so that together with the agencies here, we can help resolve these things before they become major issues.
We're so sorry about that. That was a technical problem. But a forum to engage municipal and district assemblies in their role in wooing investors into the country. A senior programs development officer at the Kole Klote Municipal Assembly, Sefako Fumi, charged MDAs to be consolidate gains made by government.
Assemblies are moving away from the traditional walk into our office before a service is delivered, by creating, for instance, revenue collection points within the localities, such that you don't necessarily have to move to the physical location of the office to pay your property bill, your rates, and other obligations.